up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's jump into some Dolphin talk. Now, this is a tough season we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the 2007 season, and it was a rough one. That there's no other way to say it. It was a rough season. So it started with the Dolphins hiring Cam Cameron, who had just come over from the San Diego Chargers back when they were San Diego Chargers. The Chargers offense was awesome when he was there, averaged 26 points a game. And, they were underachievers, mostly because Philip Rivers was kind of underachiever, but that's fine. Uh, but I have a long standing beef. And not a beef, that's the wrong way to say it. I have a thing against sometimes offensive coordinators getting credit because they have talented teams and people anointing them as good offensive minds, right? The same thing happened with Adam Gase when he was the OC for the Peyton Manning team that won when Peyton had 55 touchdowns and he was all world. They were like, man, Adam Gase must be a really good offensive mind. It's like, is he, or is Peyton Manning just an all time great? Or do you just have three Pro Bowl receivers and just we saw with what's the Patriots coordinator? McDaniels. Yes, McDaniels was Peyton Manning's coach, and he got multiple head coaching jobs. Man, this guy's a really good offensive mind. And like he had Tom Brady. I don't know if like I don't think that makes you a great coach. But the Dolphins found out the hard way that the Chargers' success did not lead to our success, right? So they ran a version of a West Coast offense, which is an old school, San Francisco thing that is carried over for a lot of people. A lot of Marty Schottenheimer teams did it. Any disciple that came off that tree kind of ran an offense because one, it was wildly successful for San Francisco. So I get it. The Dolphins didn't have the personnel to run that kind of offense. So when he brought his offensive genius to our team, it just didn't work because we didn't have the personnel and maybe he didn't install it properly. Whatever. Didn't work. So immediately the team was just not great. We averaged 15 points a game that year, which is still the worst in our history. Despite the many seasons of the Dolphins aren't good, we're always better than 15 points a game. So we literally brought you over here to be great at this side of the ball. I've done this on our regular show where I talk about if a coach is hired and that's your specialty, we expect that to be great. Like Coach McDaniel came here now and our offense wasn't good, that wouldn't make much sense because literally you're an offensive guru guy. That's what you do. Like Bill Belichick was a defensive genius with the Giants, came to the Patriots. Guess what? Best defense in the league for like 20 years running. Like that, yeah. Sean McVay, offensive genius. Guess what? They're great on offense. So when we bring you over to be an offensive genius from the Chargers, and you come over and our offense is the worst in the league and the worst in history, that's gonna be a 1 year coach. And guess what? He was fired after 1 year, but that may be foreshadowing. A lot of stuff was going on during this year though. Jason Taylor had just came off of winning Defensive Player of the Year in '06, which and as of now, he's the last player on our team to win one of those awards, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, legitimately 20 years ago. So he's awesome. And during the before the '07 season, he decided to do Dancing with the Stars, which typically you do when you're out of the league. There's not a lot of current players who do it, but because he had just won Defensive Player of the Year, maybe they thought it would be good cachet for him. Maybe they wanted to like he's in Miami, tall guy. I don't know. I don't know how the negotiations went. I don't work for ABC, but the fact that he did the show and then we went into this terrible season made some people feel like, hey, where are you right now? Like, are you with us or are you not with us? Because how do you have time to be doing that? Like, that show's not shot for 1 week. There's a lot of prep time and dancing and choreography that goes into it where you could be playing football. Now, in '07, during his awful year, he still had 12 and a half sacks. That shows you how good he was. So he still was super productive. But the year before, he was Defensive Player of the Year. So he was productive, but not as productive as the year before. Zach Thomas was in his last year with the Dolphins, and we sent him out as poorly as you can get sent out. Like he still had 120 tackles that year, which is awesome for as bad a team as we were. But you could tell during points of the year he was trying his best to like, hey guys, come on, we can do this, and it wasn't happening. Nobody was here for it. We went through a lot of quarterbacks that year with Trent Green, John Beck, Cleo Lemon. It just was Joey Harrington. Just a disaster. I mean, none of those guys should be NFL quarterbacks. Trent Green had a moment, but the rest of those dudes, it just we didn't have a good setup. We had an offensive system that didn't work for our team, and then we had poor quarterback play. And what happens is when you start the year a strong 0-8, you lost the team. I don't care how good of a rah rah guy. Come on, guys, we can do it. Nah, because you're losing and you're not scoring points. It's different if you're losing games where you feel like, oh, the refs were against us, or man, we had a late game turnover. That's why we lost the game. When you're not competitive and you're getting beat a lot, and we brought you in to be good at offense, and our offense is not good, you lose the team. You lose morale. ESPN starts talking about you. Once you go, I think like 0-8, maybe 0-10, then the questions of can you go 0-16 start coming up, and no one wants to hear that. It's like, oh, can they be the worst team ever? They start putting you on those kind of lists. So of course, during the year, you start losing people. Zach, to his credit, was locked in the whole year, and it seemed like, hey, he was the only guy. No one else was there for it. Zach Thomas, that's Zach Thomas. Jason Taylor was like lobbying to get kicked, like not kicked off, but like to get traded. He didn't want to be part of this rebuild project. He had just came off his best year of his career, and then all of a sudden we're the worst team in the league. And I don't know if that was just posturing, like, hey, Cam Cameron's bad, so like get me away from him, or get me away from the organization. Because I don't think there was a team lined up that was like, I want to go to that team specifically. It was more like, I don't want to be on this team. I don't want to be here getting beat week after week after week, trying our hardest, and our offense giving us 13 points. Like, I get how that can be bad, right? So we go all the way through the year. 0-15 up to this point. The worst year ever. Worst, obviously, a worst year for the Dolphins. We get to week 16 against Baltimore, and it's like, this is the game. You guys can go 0-16. And this is before Detroit went 0-16, I believe. I think they did it like a year or two later. And Cleveland did it obviously after that. So up to this point, we hadn't had an 0-16 team in a minute. And that puts you in history forever. 1-15, there's been a lot of 1 and 2 win teams actually. But 0 wins, rare air. So last game of the year we had Cleo Lemon starting. Cleo Lemon's from like Arkansas State. Was never an NFL quarterback for real. Um, he was likable in an odd way. He wasn't a good player, but this last game of the year, Cleo Lemon just I don't know what happened. He just put his cape on. He put his 13 jersey on. He had 315 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdowns to Greg Camarillo, aka the Dream Killer, as Chris Berman coined him when he caught that 64-yard touchdown. Chris Berman called him Greg Camarillo, the Dream Killer. Is hilarious to me because he killed the dream of an 0-16 season, and the celebration for the team was like we had just won 9 Super Bowls, like because the idea is all right, cool, we didn't lose every single game. That was the saving grace. Like, oh god, now still the worst season in Dolphin history. It literally got Cam Cameron fired, but the fact that we didn't lose every game was ginormous because it could have been cataclysmic, right? Basically that year was so bad, the team did a hard reset. Think of it like Spider-Man 3 after Sam Raimi did what he did with Tobey Maguire and the black hair and killing off Venom and all that. They said, you know what? Let's just start over. Like we're not gonna keep going down this path. Sometimes you go too far that you can't come back from. 1-15. I don't know what Cam Cameron could have possibly said in his like postseason interviews. But hey guys, sure didn't quite go how we thought it was going to go. All right, but we can all admit that. Give me one more year, and just let me figure it out. It's like nah. And actually, to his credit, Cam Cameron wasn't a coach again, and did not deserve to be. He just sometimes guys are just better as coordinators, and sometimes it's really good when you're on a team where things are going well, and you could just kind of like soak up the glory on that. I think the best bet in the world is to just like stay on the team. Like just stay on the team that's going well. Like he could have stayed on the Chargers were good on offense for the next handful of years. They were good up until Phillip Rivers basically became, a bad player. That Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees years, that's at least 10 to 12 years. He could have just been the OC as long as he wanted to. But I get it. You get a little avarice and you think I can take my show on the road. Nope, you cannot. So this year was awful. I don't think Greg Camarillo had another big time like moment. He played for Minnesota afterwards. Whatever. I don't think Joy Harrington was hurt from really after that. Obviously, John Beck was not. Cleo Lemon, listen, you have a moment in history, but really, really bad year. That led to the hard reset the following year with the big tuna coming in and just basically going back down to the studs of the team and just rebuilding it and saying, hey, that whole previous regime out of here. Let's start over. But thank goodness that we won one, because it could have been bad. It could have been bad, and what are you gonna do about it? Really, really, really tough season for us, but it led to some good stuff in the end. So we will take that with a grain of salt. That's the best thing we do about it. Funny year looking back on it. Living through it, not cool. Actually, not cool living through it. But what are you gonna do? But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate it, love and support. Thank y'all for the likes and subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.